Welcome back to Whispers in the Dark, where we explore the stories that linger long after the lights go out. Tonight, we're taking a drive down a road so notorious, its name alone is a warning. This isn't just any ghost story. It's a journey into a legend that's as chilling as it is timeless. So, turn down the lights, lock your doors, and join me on a trip to Ghost Road. There's a lonely two-lane highway just outside of Raven Hollow, Texas. It's a stretch of road so dark at night, it feels like you're driving through pure, liquid ink. Streetlights are a forgotten luxury out here. The only thing guiding you is the weak glow of your own headlights, carving a small, trembling path through the oppressive darkness. Locals don't call it by its official name anymore. They call it Ghost Road. And for good reason. Every few months, sometimes more often, someone new swears they've seen her. A woman standing silently at the edge of the asphalt. They all describe her the same way. She's wearing a torn white dress. Her feet are bare against the cold, rough ground, and her dark hair hangs like a heavy curtain over her face, obscuring any hint of her features. Long-haul truckers, the seasoned veterans of these desolate highways, have their own warnings they share over crackling CB radios. They say she appears right before the stroke of midnight, always alone, always looking for a ride. The stories vary, but they all end with the same grim advice. Whatever you do, don't stop. Because if you stop for her, you'll never make it to the next town. To understand why, we have to travel back in time, back to the 1950s. The story begins with a young woman named Lydia Hart, on what should have been the happiest night of her life. Fresh from her own wedding reception, still wearing her beautiful white gown, she was driving home along this very road. But something went terribly wrong. Her car skidded off the old wooden bridge just past mile marker 47, plunging into the dark, murky waters below. In the days that followed, search parties combed the area. They eventually located the mangled wreck of her car, pulled it from the riverbed, its windows shattered, its metal frame twisted into a grotesque sculpture. But they never found Lydia. Her body was simply gone, swallowed by the river in the night. Time eventually moved on, as it always does. The old bridge was eventually torn down, replaced by a modern concrete and steel structure. It was given a new name, and the guardrails were reinforced, made stronger, thicker, as if trying to hold back more than just wayward vehicles. But some things can't be rebuilt or contained. Lydia, it seems, never left. Her spirit remained, forever bound to the place where her new life was so tragically cut short. Fast forward a few decades. Imagine a crisp fall night, the kind where the air has a distinct bite to it. A man named Eddie Monroe was driving that same road, heading home after a late shift at the local mill. A sudden storm had rolled in, and rain was hammering against his windshield, the wipers fighting a losing battle to keep the glass clear. As he approached the bridge, his headlights cut through the downpour and landed on a figure at the side of the road. It was her, Lydia, soaked to the bone, shivering visibly in the cold, with her thumb stuck out, pleading for a ride. Her head was bowed, her face hidden by that curtain of wet hair. Every instinct, every local legend he'd ever heard, screamed at him to keep driving. But seeing her there, so vulnerable and desolate, he couldn't bring himself to leave her in the storm. Against every bit of common sense, he started to pull over. He leaned across the passenger seat and rolled down the window. The sound of the rain rushed in. "Need a ride, ma'am?" he asked, his voice hesitant. She didn't look up, but she gave a slow, deliberate nod. Yes. She climbed into the passenger seat, bringing the cold and the damp with her. The door shut with a heavy thud. As he pulled back onto the highway, she finally spoke, her voice a faint, airy whisper, barely audible over the engine. "Just over the bridge." Eddie focused on the road, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. As they drove across the new bridge, a strange thing happened. The relentless rain began to ease, the drumming on the roof softening to a gentle patter, then stopping altogether. A strange calm settled over the car. He risked a glance over at his passenger to ask if she was okay, but she was gone. The seat was empty. All that remained was a dark, wet patch on the upholstery and the faint, sweet, unmistakable scent of lilies filling the cab of his truck. Eddie's heart hammered against his ribs. He must have imagined it. The long shift, the hypnotic rhythm of the rain, the spooky local stories. It had all played a trick on his tired mind. He shook his head, trying to clear it. He took a deep breath and, out of sheer habit, glanced up at his rearview mirror to check the road behind him. And that's when his blood ran cold. She was there. Not in the passenger seat, but in the back, her face pale in the dim light filtering through the rear window. Her eyes, no longer hidden, were glowing with a faint, ethereal light. And from her lips, his own name was whispered, a chilling, spectral sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Eddie. The bridge flashed by in a blur of concrete and steel in his peripheral vision. Then an impact, the screech of tortured metal, and a sudden, deafening silence. The next morning, the sheriff found Eddie Monroe's truck. It was wrapped around the very first guardrail, just past the bridge, the front end completely crumpled. The driver's side door was wide open, creaking in the morning breeze. The driver's seat was empty. Eddie was nowhere to be found, but on the dashboard, placed neatly as if it were a gift, was a single, elegant, white lady's glove. It was soaked through, and when the deputy who found it picked it up, he swore it was still warm to the touch. Now, decades later, the legend of Ghost Road is stronger than ever. Anyone who dares to drive that stretch of highway after midnight reports the same unsettling phenomena. First, the radio cuts to static, no matter the station. Then, the temperature inside the car plummets. A sudden, unnatural chill that raises goosebumps on your skin. And then, just as you pass mile marker 47, your headlights will find her. A woman in white, waving for help. They say if you stop, she'll thank you softly, climb in, and ask to be taken just over the bridge. But if you heed the warnings, if you press the accelerator and drive right past her, don't for a second think you're safe, because Lydia Hart will find another way to get in. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the dark. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Whispers in the Dark for more stories that will haunt you. Until next time, stay safe, and whatever you do, don't pick up strangers on a lonely road.